There we
All
go.
right, we are here.
We're here, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday Industry Live.
Yes, happy Tuesday, everyone, and thank you so much for joining today. We are excited. I'm excited for today's live because it's somebody that I know that I love and is going to be sharing so many wonderful things with us about diversity. But first and foremost, I want to introduce myself. I am Carla, and I'm here with my co-host today.
It's Deb.
Hey, hey. And happy birthday, Deb. It was her
Aw,
birthday yesterday. So definitely
cute.
want to shout her out, my October sister.
Happy birthday to you, my fellow
Yes,
Libra sister. So
thank
we just
you.
figured
Yes.
that out this week, and I love
I
that.
know. I know. I'm so excited about that too. So,
Yes.
all
Well,
right. Well, go ahead.
so, we're here to share all things multifamily, bring valuable content to our audience. So, thank you for watching. Feel free to comment and share. We are streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So, if you're here, please engage with us, comment, click notifications so that you can know when we go live. And if you want to be a guest, or you want to download any resources that we have to offer, you can go to this link on the screen, follow that, and you can reach out to us via that link. So, yeah, thank you for joining wherever you're watching from. Please like, share, subscribe.
And
Um,
comment and ask
yes.
questions and participate. We think this is a really good topic. And then if you're watching on the replay, definitely make sure that you hashtag replay. Let us know where you're watching from and give us your input.
Awesome. So I'll let you introduce our guest for today.
Yes,
Who do we
yes,
have?
yes. So today we have Marie Rout. She is the regional manager at United Group of Companies. So I'm so excited. Marie is a really good friend of mine. Worked together for a few years now. It's crazy. But welcome to the live.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Carla, for the invitation and
Yes,
inviting me here. I love you too. And
yes.
happy pre-birthday to you. And Deb,
Thank you.
happy
Thank
birthday for
you.
you yesterday. But yeah, I'm super excited to be here. So thanks.
Awesome. We're excited to have you. Do you want to give us a little, maybe 60-second-ish introduction and tell us
Man,
about yourself?
life is too great. It's going to take me.
I
No,
know, right?
well, yeah. So I started in the industry back in student housing days in the late 1990s. When I was in college, that same old story. You kind of got a free apartment and leased apartments. And I
Right.
absolutely loved it, fell in love with the industry. I moved up from student housing to multifamily when I moved to Houston, Texas. I worked for great companies here in Texas area. And as a property manager, marketing supervisor, director of marketing, all of the positions you can possibly think of. I did lease ups. And now currently I'm working for a great company called United Group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
They are based in New York. I have a great boss, great support system out there, and I specialize in senior 55 active lease ups. So
This is
that's
just like another thing you can add to your array of experience,
yeah.
which
I
I
started with
love so
the
much.
kids. Now I'm dealing with the retirees. So
Right.
I still have the parents, but the kids' parents are still there. So the student housing, that middle person is now the kids of the parents that I deal with. So it hasn't gone
Right. It's
Yeah.
so crazy. It just comes like full circle,
It's
doesn't
full
it?
circle. Yeah. I
away.
know. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that you have all that different experience. You're very well versed in
Yeah.
multifamily, which is freaking awesome. So,
Yeah, and different
100% agree.
markets too. I lived all over Florida, Virginia, Alabama,
wow.
Louisiana. So
Didn't you
yeah,
live in Orlando too at some
Orlando.
point? Okay, yeah. I remember that part.
I
How long have
do.
you been in Houston?
I moved here in 2015, but I lived here before. This is
Okay.
my second go around, 2010. I felt real old, guys.
No,
Thanks.
you're definitely not old.
No,
Don't say that.
no, don't get me talking about my 20 years past multifamily experience. I mean, it's been a long time.
I know I
Yeah.
used to be the youngest person in the office, and now I'm now the youngest person in the office. But back then,
Well, now
I
I'm the
was
oldest. I feel like the tides are changing.
Exactly.
exactly.
Well, a little history, like we've been covering just for our audience a lot of DEI topics and subjects, and just bringing some different content and different perspectives to our live to talk about things in our industry.
Yeah.
And so I'll let Carla kind of, and you guys knew each other, and let you guys dive into a little bit about what we're going to talk today. Carla, if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, I think this is a super important topic in our industry, and I know that in an industry that really hasn't been super diverse, I feel like now we're definitely shifting in that direction. But wanted to get your take on why do you think diversity, equity, and inclusion is important to you?
Well, I mean, it's a very difficult question to answer, especially being a Black woman in this industry. I can tell you this: if you're doing DEI, that means you're doing something right. You're really understanding that there's an issue, and you're trying to figure out how to keep talent, how to bring talent in. For me, it's all about trust. I have to trust the company I work for, because I'm going to spend 8 to 9 hours, 10 hours more with this company a day, more than with my kids, more than with my husband, more than with my friends. And I want to know that I'm valued. And so when organizations are having these types of meetings and these types of conversations, they're recognizing that our voice isn't being heard, and they're taking the time to see what we're doing wrong and how we can correct it. So that's why it's important to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Deb, sorry to cut you off. I think the other piece of that was what you hit on, which is to actually be authentic. You know what I mean? Like to for a company to do DEI, I think it's great. And I see a lot of companies doing that across the board, some for the right reasons, and then some just to kind of, pander a little bit, check the box, kind of make sure that they're staying, compliant socially, right? And so I think you hit the nail on the head there, where if they're doing it for the right reasons, then it's definitely going to work. And you're going to see it as an employee who is a minority. You're going to see the difference.
Yeah. I mean, look at working and being productive. Like when people feel like they're not valued and you don't know about me and where my struggles and what's going on with me, then they're just going there and going home. Yeah. And in property management, our job is more than just going there and going home, right? We have to really deal with the residents. I mean, we're psychiatrists at the end of the day.
You're everything. You're all
doctors. We're all the things, And so if you have an employee that doesn't feel valued and doesn't feel appreciated, or
just understood, I think feeling understood and feeling that the compassion from the people that you work with and understanding. Yeah. What are some of the things you do to stay authentic in a predominantly white male influence industry? I mean, it really did start, and it's progressed over the years to where we got to the point where we actually had women coming in and starting to dominate leadership positions. And then we've progressed a long ways. But we still have a long way to go. So So what do you think? What are some of the ways you stay authentic?
I'm being myself. That's just the best way to do it. I educate myself. I do work hard. And I think that's, when you ask a Black woman, like, what do you do to say I'm me? Like, I'm not the problem. So it's like I am working to be a better myself. That's the only thing that I can do. It's what is the other companies doing to be authentic, and in my plight and what I want to be and who I want to be in this organization. So I think that's the kind of question that needs to really be had,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, totally agree with that. And I think that's what kind of sets you apart for me. Like just meeting a lot of people is you are unapologetically yourself. And I love that, because I think just working alongside of you, I think I can see that. I saw it like from the moment that we met. You're yourself all the time. And I think people in leadership who want to exemplify diversity can see that too. And so I think you're the right person to kind of, be at the head of saying, okay, I'm going to be authentically myself, because you're not a fake person. You know what I mean? You're like, strive to not be fake. So I love that.
I mean, I have to be, I can't sell you a dream, because I think eventually it's going to show who I really am,
Right.
So it's like I come out and I'm going to be like, this is who I am. And I think this is part of the problem in being a Black woman in this industry is that we have to be careful of how to speak, how to talk, what to say,
yes, and that's
because
even just a woman in general, it is, it's still like that.
It's still like that. You don't want to be the, she's that, or the stereotypical of that, so
right.
I have to be like, okay, there has to be a middle way where I can communicate, get my point across, but not be the angry Black woman. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do think there is a stereotype with that, and it's it's a little bit sad to see people to actually get to they use that type of language first and foremost in a professional environment. And I definitely think that you're working towards just removing that stereotype in every situation that you're at.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's such a cliche, and I really hate when people say, I don't see race. I honestly, I have friends in this industry all over the world, all over different types of genres, whatever they do, whatever their color of their skin is, male, female, it doesn't really matter. I will build rapport with you on human connections. That's what we're going to do. And I think, Carla, when me and you met, we just instantly connected, you know what I mean? And it wasn't maybe because we both lived in Florida for a while, or maybe because I was about to get married and you've been married for, no, she's been married for 10 years.
More than that, but forever.
I don't understand how you got married before you were born, but, just, in our faith, that we both have. And so that's, to me, is the most important thing when you build relationships with people, and not necessarily the color of their skin. But it is also important to recognize the struggle that women and women of color have going into this industry, because I've been overlooked, as great as I am. I've been overlooked for promotions and properties, because the stereotype is, oh, this is a high rise and it's in River Oaks and it needs to be this person. And even though I have the qualifications, a girl coming with less qualifications than I am, or maybe a male with less and they get chosen because regionals, and this is part of, I guess, the training that needs to happen, is that you just take your friends and you just move them, to these beautiful assets. And then we don't get to grow and get the experience to have lease ups. Luckily, I got the experience, or to do different marketing. I got the experience, but a lot of people can't get a marketing job because they don't fit
a stereotype. I 100% agree with that. I think myself being a minority, I've experienced the same exact thing, and I think it can do one of two things. It can bring you down. It can put you into a mindset where you align yourself with being a victim, or it can do what it's done for you, Marie, and what it's done for me, which is now we're going to work extra hard. We're going to work double time. We're going to put our name out there even more and climb the ladder, regardless of which people we have to kind of, elbow here and there to make our way up to success. So I totally agree with you. I think that stereotype needs to change, and that mentality of what a idyllic person in a Class A, luxury lease up looks like is definitely different. I can say that firsthand with hiring my first lease up manager in Nashville, which was CC. She was on actually maybe a few months ago.
Yeah.
Definitely a different experience for her being in a predominantly Caucasian market in a luxury high rise. She looks nothing like her peers, and she's crushed it. She didn't get intimidated by it, and she just is killing it. So I agree 100%.
That's all she needed was the opportunity. Nobody to give it to her. I met her at, I think, your housewarming. And I knew she was a rock star when I met her, but because, she doesn't look like, Betty, whatever. They overlooked, and that's sad, because she's so smart and she's well spoken and she's qualified and she can do the job.
Got it.
She needed the opportunity. That's it.
Just the opportunity.
Exactly.
Hey, CC, if you're watching.
Yes. Shout out, CC. I know that we have a couple of comments on here. Stephanie says, happy birthday, Deb. Totally forgot to mention that. And then a good way to do it, I think she had mentioned that when you were kind of giving your whole spiel about how you went from student housing all the way to now full circle senior active living. And then Kim said emotional woman. Yes, obviously that's like, I think overall for women, it's we're just kind of pegged as the emotional, like,
we're not allowed. If we show emotion,
we're not logical enough, right? We're not logical enough, or I mean, I've heard that said to me too, and it's like, you know what? No, that's we have the best of both worlds.
I also tell this to folks. Like, I've noticed, like, in our industry, sometimes, when certain strong women are referred to, I'll hear, oh, she's a B, right? And I always like to back that up with, like, why is she that? Is it because she's a backstabber and just a bad person, or is it because she is strong and opinionated and speaks out? And usually it's because she's just a strong, outspoken woman. And I'm like, I hate that we peg women as, bitches, because they are strong and they are outspoken and they lead.
Right. Because we don't say that about men.
No, it's the opposite. It's, oh yeah, he's a badass, or he's really strong, or he's like,
he's confident.
Yeah, exactly. Confident. Yeah. So yeah, totally agree there. So I know we've been talking also a lot about unconscious bias and all of that. So I'm going to ask you a quick question to elaborate as well. Can you explain any time where you've encountered unconscious bias? And I do want to provide, again, the definition of this, because I think it's important for everybody to know what we're actually defining, but it's an attitude or stereotype that affects your views, our actions, or decision-making ability. And it demonstrates how unconscious bias is automatically activated and how it affects how we think today. So it's also synonymous with cognitive bias. And so talk to us a little bit about, if you've ever experienced that, how did you handle it, and what did you do to educate the individual?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I had a situation at one of my companies that they approached me, higher ups, to talk to another employee at another property about her eyelashes or about her hairstyle. And because she was Black and I'm Black, and they thought it made sense.
Wow.
So there was a couple levels of like why that's stupid, and why that's disrespectful to not only me, but the property manager that's on the property, and to the employee itself. So I mean, I'm very nice, as you know, Carla, but I'm very frank. I'm like, I'm not doing it. Like, that's kind of what I said. I'm like, no. If you have a problem with a dress code of an employee, you treat them like you would any other employee.
Exactly.
You address it.
Address it
the way that
why
they would address it with you and that person and this person.
Why I'm being singled out to approach an employee about her dress and about how she does her makeup. Like, I just felt like, oh, Marie's a Black girl, she can do it. She can talk Black to the Black girl.
Right. That is, first of all, that's an insult. I think just in general, to you and to the employee, that you are in the same position. Like, she's your peer, right?
No, she was actually a leasing agent. So I was a property manager at another property. They wanted me to go to another property to talk to their leasing agent because her manager was white. For me to about her appearance.
Yep.
And basically I want her to look like how I look. And I'm like, well, first of all, you pay her $12 an hour.
Right. Exactly.
A lot more. And I can afford to get my hair done. I can afford to get the right eyelashes. I can afford to get the right makeup. I can afford to get my nails done. I can afford nicer clothes that fit my body type. I can afford that. She cannot. So you have to be a little bit flexible with her, or create a uniform policy. Like that's something that you need to do to help your employees if you're not going to pay them what they're worth, in order for them to take care of themselves and make it a priority for their appearance. But it's such a bigger correlation. It's such a bigger like world when you talk about, economically fairness for pay for employees and where they come from and why maybe their hair looks the way that it looks or why their shirt looks the way that it looks. And it's very disheartening when I hear, and I've heard white and other race discuss Black women in a horrible way of how they wear their hair, which is like hard for us because it's like, I can't, I have friends who say I can't apply for a job because I put braids in this week. Like what?
Yeah, that definitely shouldn't be the case. Like that definitely should not be the case.
No.
But that's when the inclusiveness comes in. We're not feeling invited.
Right.
Welcome, included, and having other, like Kimberly and I, seek to understand, like you don't know what you don't know, but we got to learn to, I always say, embrace the ask, like I always, like but I also like to make sure I'm in a safe place when there is something I don't know about a culture or somebody or whatever. Like I really do genuinely want to like seek to ask and learn, and I think we gotta be more open to that too. But we need to seek to understand each other better. Like, I mean, we're all different.
Exactly. Yeah. And Kim, you brought up a good point. People might not know how to approach that conversation. And I agree with that. I think I've even been guilty of that where I don't know how to approach a specific conversation. But that doesn't mean that you have to be offensive to someone, right? So I think there's a difference. I think you're right in seeking to understand, and maybe the approach to you would have been better to say, hey, we're really trying to find a good way, an inclusive way to address the situation. Exactly. What advice do you have for us? How can we best handle this situation? Or try to bring people together and maybe what you said, do maybe a uniform committee, or maybe get some feedback from the group of employees. But companies, that's what I was kind of referring to, where companies want to tout DEI and inclusivity and diversity, but at the same time, they're really not walking the walk, right? They're just kind of preaching it, but they're not really implementing it. Exactly. So I think that's a great example of just not aligning, with your core values, and like it should be reflective not just on your executive level team, not just on middle management, but also at your front line, which are the people who are facing the customer, right? And having to provide that type of service to the customer as well. If they're feeling left out in some type of way and offended, that's going to turn around into an attitude, to the resident, to the customer.
Right. It gets back to them. They feel a certain type of way, it's embarrassing, but I think part of the learning is to educate and to find speakers that specialize in these conversations, because I can't teach you on how to have the conversation.
Exactly.
I can just tell you how I feel and what works for me, but there are books, there's speakers, there's people out there that specialize in diversity and how to communicate with employees, and that needs to be utilized.
Right.
Other than that, you're just like figuring it out and you're going to offend somebody.
Exactly.
Having groups and, having roundtable discussions and making things uncomfortable. And it's okay to be uncomfortable. Like, you should be uncomfortable. Like, it should be easy for you, especially if you have this stereotypical thought in your process about, human beings. Because I know me and Carla both love dogs. We love dogs, right? And when I see a dog, I don't care that it's a Rottweiler. I don't care that it's a Yorkie.
It's a dog.
And it's going to be my best friend.
Or the human. You know what I mean? And so it's like, that's kind of how it should be with us. And you shouldn't care what my race is when you meet me. And like, how should I? Crazy chihuahuas, yes. Yeah. It is what it is with that, yeah.
Oh, and then just so we put this out, Douglas, Marie has
Hey, Douglas.
he's your former manager, and you lead in an iconic way.
Wow, I love that.
True. I thought about him the other day. Yes.
Oh, that's sweet. I love that.
So
So do you have any advice for women, minority women, for our industry? What's your top?
Yeah, don't be predictable.
Mhm. I love that.
Oh man, that needs to be a hashtag.
I know. Hashtag don't be predictable. I like it.
Oh my God, I'm stealing that 100%.
Too. Like, no one should know. I know we're short on time, but there was an article that I read about a lady who worked really hard. She did everybody's job and she was up for a promotion. And they end up hiring her other counterpart and not her. She cried, she was upset, and she found out later the reason why she wasn't promoted is because they knew that he would leave if he didn't get the job. And she would stay because she needed it, because she was predictable, And so it's like owning your voice and literally not being afraid to have conversations is my advice to people, and standing up for yourselves and knowing your value.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. I love that a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Well,
Carla.
Say that again.
Don't be predictable.
I am not. I am stealing that like you have no idea.
I'm ready to make a T-shirt out of it.
Exactly. That's gonna be your new like slogan for your life. Like, don't be predictable.
Predictable.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to start wrapping up here because we only have a few minutes left. So wanted to let everybody know how they can connect with you, Marie. You are on LinkedIn, Marie Route Item. Etam? Okay. I knew I was going to mess that up at some point. And then also your email. So do you want to give everyone your email so they can connect with you?
Marie.route@ugoc.com. So United Group of Companies, but just the first letters, ugoc.com.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for being our guest. This was great. We really appreciate it. And thank you for everyone who joined in, who watched and commented and participated with us. Thank you so much. If you want to be a guest, please sign up on through our link, but we also have an email address, and it's beonindustrylive@gmail.com. So please reach out to us. We want to hear from you.
Yes,
and Carla, do you want to wrap it up and tell everybody bye?
Yes, and don't forget, if you are watching this on the replay, #replay, tell us where you're watching from, ask us questions, give us feedback, and let us know if there's anything that stood out for you on this segment. If we want to have us elaborate more on, we totally would love to have Marie back. She has so much knowledge and experience. So thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.